Buenas tardes and good afternoon, everyone. This is Tyson with Ricardo Amigo Real Estate here in Todos Santos in sunny Baja California Sur. Today, we're going to be discussing the year-end market update. So just as a caveat before we dive into this, we're going to be discussing all of the numbers that I pull from the MLS system. This does not cover any off-market properties. There are some off-market properties, obviously like any market, that do happen, transactions that do happen in this area, but those will not be covered today. They're difficult to track, difficult to get accurate pricing on. So today we're just going to be sticking to the statistics from the MLS. Since we just closed out 2025, we're going to be discussing 2024 versus 2025, and at the end we'll kind of do a little sneak peek and an outlook for 2026. Okay, so let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about land. The actual closings, the number of transactions decreased 26%. In 2024, we had 140 closed land transactions. Last year in 2025, we had 111. And we'll jump over to sales volume because that kind of goes in line. Sales volume actually decreased 30% from 2024 to 2025. So the first time we've actually seen land sales decrease in quite a few years. So what does that tell us when we really try to, break down those statistics? We're seeing a shift in what people are after in this area. A lot more people are trending towards the already completed home or condo for a variety of reasons, whether that's the cost to build, whether that's the logistics of managing a project from afar or from another country. There's a number of reasons. So we're kind of seeing that shift in the demographic going more towards already completed homes and condos over land. Now, with all that being said, there is still a segment of people out there that love the idea of buying a piece of land, designing the home, and building it themselves. That's kind of been the dream for a lot of people. And I don't think that segment of the market is necessarily going anywhere. It's basically just shrinking as homes and condo sales come up and kind of take some of that demographic. So let's talk about condos. Condo sales are basically on track from last year. We're almost at the same amount of transactions. We had 25 in 2025 and 27 in 2024. What's changed significantly is the median price on a condo has increased from almost $300,000 to $420,000 in 2025, a significant increase of just about 40%. Days on market, which we didn't talk about with land, but we'll talk about here with condos, has actually increased 8%, so just a small amount. In total sales volume in condos is now at 11.3 million as opposed to 8.1 million in 2024. So that has increased 38%. So a significant shift. And again, like we talked about in land, I think we're seeing some of those people who might have purchased land a few years ago are maybe shifting towards just a complete ready-to-go condo in place of land. For homes, in 2025, there was 66 total transactions in our area. And I should specify our area for those who haven't tuned in the past. When I say our area, the Todos Santos region, what we're talking about is the area of Agua Blanca to the north, and all the way down to the community of Elías Calles in the south. That kind of geographical boundary is really what defines our area. So I don't want to get this confused with what's going on in Cabo San Lucas, the Pacific side further south. We're just talking about the Pacific side here in that region that I spoke of. So homes, 66 total transactions for homes, single family or a single dwelling completed homes, as opposed to 68 in 2024. The median price has gone up fairly significantly, 27%. Median home price is $731,000. 2024, it was $577,000. Days on market has remained the same in homes, 284. And when we discuss days on market, one thing to keep in mind, when I pull these statistics from the MLS, days on market includes the first day that home goes on the market to when that home finally closes. So it includes that entire portion of the closing. It doesn't stop when the home goes under contract. Most closings we are seeing nowadays are happening anywhere from 60 to 90 plus days. When you look at days on market, or when I discuss that in this video here, just keep in mind that there's a portion of that that's part of the closing. So we're probably seeing days on market, even though we've got 284 on average, we're seeing days on market probably closer to about 200 days on market, maybe a little bit less than that, which for a second home market like Todos Santos is really on track when you look at what goes on globally. For total sales volume in homes, We went from 53.4 million in 2024 to 57.1 million. So that's an increase of 7%. So when we look at the overall trends, while land volume has decreased 30%, condos have gone up 38%, and home volume has gone up 7%. So that kind of makes up, that difference of what we've saw with the decrease and that shift in the market from land into homes and condo sales. So we look at an overall sales volume decrease. While it's a small number of just 3%, it is a decrease from last year in overall sales volume. And the first time we've actually seen a decrease in overall sales volume in a few years now. We did have the COVID, spike, but that was more of an anomaly as far as if you look at the overall trends. So what do we anticipate in our market given all this information we've just discussed today? A correction in any market or a slight downturn is always healthy. There's no market anywhere in the world in human history that's been able to go up exponentially forever. So any correction or slight downturn is extremely healthy. It allows buyers who maybe didn't have the opportunity, or people that were sitting on the sidelines, to be able to jump into the market. So we've seen that over 2025. Although it was just a small correction, it has been a correction as prices have come down somewhat. So looking ahead, will this correction continue for 2026? I think what we've seen so far in 2025 is that prices have come more in line with what people's expectations are. It's hard to ever say how long a market correction may continue or if it's just gonna, dramatically go back up. What I don't think we're gonna see is any dramatic decreases in pricing here in our region. I think it's gotten to a point after the previous 4 years, 2025 was a year for a correction, was a year for those prices to kind of come down and get more in line with building costs when it comes to homes and get more in line with what's going on in the land market. And we had a significant increase in inventory, and those prices just, the nature of supply and demand, those prices just needed to come down, and I think we've seen that. Now, will that continue? Time will tell. The great thing about this market is we're in a beautiful area. This is an area that people willingly want to live in, and people come visit every day. So as far as that goes, it is always a great place to live, and it's always a great place to invest. So if you're interested in learning more about what's going on in the Todos Santos real estate market today, please reach out at the information below.